This week in 15.2, I was wrong again. This week on the Misfit podcast, we talk about the real 15.2, not my prediction. I was wrong again. 1 week, I will be right. Or maybe just guess one movement that's right. But we will talk about 15.2, the real one. Thanks, Dave Castro.
Let's go.
15.2 is 14.2.
It's so good for our team, it's ridiculous.
What's that?
It's just about overhead squat.
Fuck yes. Thank you.
So good for me too. I'm done in no time tonight. Game over, bitches. All right, guys, so we were able to fit in a training camp prior to regionals, April 10th through the 12th at Draken Crossfit. That's in Virginia.
Williamsburg.
Williamsburg, Virginia. Thank you. We have a new feature on the site. You can hashtag Team Misfit 2015, and your Instagram photo will go right onto the Misfit Athletics website, so that's pretty cool. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Misfit Athletics. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get all the new videos and podcasts that we're going to continue to put out for you guys. Custom leaderboards are still in the works. For some reason, HQ has not made this work yet. I don't know why. You would think they'd have this figured out by now. But there are no custom leaderboards that we can get going. As soon as they get that together, that will be put together for you guys. So, how was 15.2 for you?
Beat my score last year by 20 reps, so I'm happy about that. But last year I just couldn't breathe because I didn't do anything prior to the open. Felt like shit.
For the open last year.
Not too much. This year I felt like I was in better shape, but it was 100% chest to bar capacity. Stayed unbroken on the overhead squats, but pushing through those unbroken in the 14 when I got to the bar, there wasn't a whole lot in my arms. So I got a little shaky on that, and then just I do affiliate classes. There aren't, there isn't a ton of chest to bar work. I've started to develop my chin over bar, but.
Well, hey, any improvement year to year is good improvement. I have no idea if I improved because I was too much of a coward to check my score from last year. So I just kind of went in this blind with a very quick warm-up and did okay. I hate squatting, especially overhead squatting, so that wasn't very good for me. Chest to bar was fine, but it was fun. Good repeat. Thankfully, we tested this probably 2 months ago?
About 2 months ago.
About 2 months ago. And everybody that's been following the site had ridiculous improvement. We're going to cover a lot of the nuances of the workout, how we think you should pace it, break it up, kind of how to be successful in the workout. But thankfully, you guys should all have this experience already down pat. So we'll just be touching on things you might already know. So most important in this workout, how do you guys break this up?
You go first.
Lean on in, Cody.
Me personally?
Yeah, how would you break this up in knowing your capacity being somewhat superior to most of the other followers on the site, and that's not bragging, it's just fact. How would you do it, and then how would you recommend somebody who is maybe lacking in A, conditioning, B, high rep squatting, and then C, the dreaded chest to bar?
Okay, so did it in the open. I think I broke my chest to bars up, tried to break it up early, but that just doesn't work out for me. So when I redid it and I did a lot better, I stopped I made it to the round of 20 and I stopped. And the only ones I broke up was my last set of 18 and my last set of 16. Just not knowing how I was going to feel on that. I didn't want to try to rip my hands going into the 18th round. So those are the 2 rounds I only broke up. But I know of people like Joe. I remember doing this with Joe, and Joe was he was more that chunkish chest to bars. He broke it up early by 5s. He kept his heart rate down. It was just better for him. And if you can keep your heart rate down and try not to rip your skin and things like that, and by breaking it up, I think it's a good thing. But if you're one of those guys that I break it up and then I look at the clock and I'm like, oh, seconds are ticking, and I get back up, and then also my heart rate is through the roof and I'm only in round 14, it's kind of hard. So
sounds like my experience.
Yeah. By doing this workout the second time, though, in the open, it was really hard for me. I have pretty good shoulder mobility, and I took a wider grip on the bar. And
on the pull-up bar or the overhead squat bar?
On the overhead squat bar,
okay.
Excuse me.
You mean narrow?
No, I had a wider grip during the open.
Right.
And I was trying to fight the whole shoulder turning down type thing, things like that, and it was hard to fight throughout the whole time. Thank you. But when I did the new approach and I redid it and I did a lot better, I moved my hands in a little bit more narrow. So I was a little bit more stacked overhead, things like that. And it made wonders for me throughout this workout. It really did. So
It just made a big difference for me. So
yeah, so if you have the flexibility, things like that, try to move your hands in. I mean, play around with it maybe in the primer, but I think that will help someone out a lot. And just taking the time, doing the whole froning, breathe at the top of the rep, trying to keep your heart rate down. That's the biggest thing. Don't run to the bar if you don't have to. Have a nice walk, have the froning strut. Try to keep your heart rate down as much as you can throughout this workout, because that's the huge thing. That plays a big factor. Once your heart rate gets up, these two movements get real hard.
What do you say, Sharp?
I had a slight different strategy last year. I went with
Let's hear it.
5s in the first set of 10s. Going into last year, chest to bar pull-ups were a huge weakness of mine. One of basically the only reason I didn't go to regionals the very first year. I really tried for regionals in 2013 was the Fran wrap, the 15 and 15 for 3 minutes. I just couldn't get through
It's 4 minutes, but yeah.
or 4 minutes. I couldn't get through that last set of chest to bar pull-ups. So going into it, I worked a bunch at chest to bar pull-ups, so I did 5s and 5s and 6 and 6, then 5, 5, 4, so on and so forth. And I only got to the round of 16, and I think I got to the second set of 16, and I got I want to say 8 or 9 reps.
You were close to getting into 18, though, correct?
Yeah, I don't know if I was 4 reps away, 6 reps away. I can't remember.
Close.
I was close.
That's close.
But this is definitely my worst workout last year, so I'm really excited to retest it because, like Cody said, you said recently we retested this workout.
Did you retest with everybody else?
I did.
And did you improve?
I improved by 60 reps.
And how did you improve? What was better?
The difference this time, obviously, improving chest to bar capacity, but also I stuck with bigger sets. I did 10, 10, 12, 12.
On the overhead squat or the chest to bar?
Both.
Okay.
Overhead squats were unbroken the entire time. Pull-ups were 10, 10, 12, 12, 14, 14. And it wasn't until the second set of 16 that I broke up my pull-ups. And that seemed to make a big difference. I don't think it's the best strategy if you're not great at pull-ups, though, because if you lose your chest to bar pull-up, kind of like if you lose your toes to bar last week, they go away and they don't come back.
Do you think those bigger unbroken sets are actually more beneficial physically or mentally? Because if you put that bar down or you drop off the pull-up bar in the middle of a big set, everybody is likely to take more time than they should to get back to work. Do you think that going unbroken was that bigger mental piece that, yeah, it hurts more now, but I'll get to kind of transition smooth? Or do you think that it was just better having less time under tension? What do you think?
I think time retention is a huge part of it, but I also think it's the mental game because the year before I didn't really trust my chest to bar capacity. I would be worried that I wouldn't be able to get up to the bar for another rep, so I would drop earlier than I need to. And I think this is something once your forearms start to pump out and your biceps start to pump out, you just can't do any more pull-ups. So I think if you can stay less time under tension, less time jumping back up and down for the pull-up bar, you'll have a little more capacity in the long run.
coaching these guys somewhat daily, they get into a much better rhythm in the higher sets of chest to bar. So when they jump up, having to restart their swing over and over, I see them, Kip goes in a different direction. They're not necessarily throwing their hips at the exact same point, but when they get into big sets, they get really smooth with their chest to bar. They can really feel the feet coming out in front, their chest getting behind the bar and throwing their hips up at the bar. So for me, watching them, knowing that when they jump up, when they start to get fatigued, maybe they're jumping into a swing and their feet are in a different position, all this different stuff. When I watch them do big sets of chest to bar pull-ups, I see them really get into that rhythm, really start to get the, the circular motion going. And I definitely think that helps. I mean, I can tell that it helps.
And how are they able to do big sets? I mean, one of the biggest things that we have to see and that we stress over and over again is efficiency in the movement. So it's one thing to tell everybody to go do big sets, but if you don't have that capacity because you move like shit, then you're basically out of luck, right?
It's practice. It literally comes down to practice, spending extra time after training sessions, before training sessions, refining your technique and doing it over and over again. Once you start to learn how to move well for a small amount of reps, it's starting to build your capacity. But until you learn how to move well, it doesn't make sense to just add reps because then you're just moving poorly. It's going to lead you to fatigue quicker. So it's definitely important to learn how to move well first and then build capacity.
Yeah, I mean, we can stand here and talk about form in both movements. The problem is the workout's not in a month.
Right.
The workout is tomorrow.
Right.
Just some quick tips. Cody already talked about moving your hands in. Obviously, when you shoot your knees out nice and wide to create space for your torso to stay vertical, you want to make sure that you're keeping both your big toe and your heel down and not getting to just the outside of your foot and standing up without any real hip flexion. People get into that knees, way out position, and they no longer have any torque in their hips, so they go to stand up, and it's a little bit more wobbly. Chest to bar, if you go back to the video of the announcement show, who's the girl on the one from Canada?
Latondra had the smoother chest to bar.
Yes. So if you watch her, you see that on her backswing in the kip, so when she's pushing away from the bar, she gives herself a little bit more time to get behind the bar and her feet out in front. The feet out in front with the torso up creates leverage. She's able to throw her hip, but also because she's back behind the bar, she's throwing her hip behind the bar and kissing on the way down. Whereas Bridgers, when she was doing it, had pretty good hip extension, but it was a lot more up into the bar because she was under it, and then she had to fall straight back down and come back up. Like I said, you're not going to be able to fix this stuff overnight, but if you're one of those people that has that long, slow butterfly where you're basically just throwing your feet up in the air and not creating that hip extension, that is something that you could fix in one day.
Yep.
Get out your phone, have somebody film you doing your chest to bars. When you have that leverage position, do you just pull up or do you open your hips and throw them up at the bar? And you'll notice a huge difference. And you know what? It might only show up for your first 40 chest to bars in the workout, but it's going to make them that much easier. It's going to be that much less demand on you. So something you can try to work on, try to implement, moving forward. You can come see us at Drake and CrossFit in Williamsburg, Virginia on April 10th to the 12th, and we can work on it together.
That's right. We got a couple questions off Instagram. Let's see how serious people took them this time. Almost never. Should we pace 15.2 or go at a comfortable pace and rest as much as possible in between the rounds? Cody, you first.
I don't think trying to get all the work done as fast as possible is the best situation for this workout. I was talking about unbroken sets, and I think that's a must need if you want to go on into the later rounds, especially in the overhead squats. Stay tough, but it's all about, I think this workout is huge with the whole moving steady. There's no jackrabbit sporadic pace. It's at the top of every rep of overhead squat, I'm taking a deep breath, I'm going back down, I'm just trying to go chest to bar, I'm trying to stay unbroken, I'm not running to the bar, I'm walking, I'm taking deep breaths, trying to get my heart rate down in between reps. So I don't think
just the old saying, smooth is fast.
Exactly. I think smooth is fast works perfect for this workout.
And you've actually got a little bit of time after round 1, after round 2, and even you guys maybe even after round 3 where you can really make a difference in what your heart rate is.
Yes.
If you've got 90 seconds, whether you're standing, leaning against the wall, down in the bottom of a squat position, opening your hips, long, slow breathing, really focusing on that, not listening to anything anybody has to say. You get your chalk on your hands and you relax as much as you possibly can. Because if you go into that with your heart rate down in that round that you may or not make it forward, if you go into that round with your heart rate, 10 beats slower, it could make a huge difference. That's what sucks about when you drop the overhead squat bar, head over to the chest to bar. How do you feel? You feel confident? Do you feel like you can jump up and hit that big set? Or you feel like you can't catch your breath? You jump up, you hit a really small set, even though you probably could, capacity-wise, go for that set. So it definitely makes a difference, for sure.
Cool. That was from I Am Row Rod. I Am Row Rod. Thank you for that.
It's kind of like Tyler.
Yeah. HD Warnock. See, these names are impossible. Come on, guys. Just have
That's Trey Warnock from Mississippi.
Come on, Trey. Make it
Cam's
easier
old
for me.
training partner.
Mine's nice and simple. Seth, UMFer. Okay. So, in case you were curious. They ask rep scheme. We kind of covered that. It's going to vary athlete to athlete.
Yeah, I think you try to do your best job to do the overhead squats unbroken just because you don't want to pick that bar up twice. Every time you drop the bar, you add 15 seconds to whatever round you're on. And then chest to bar pull-ups is about knowing yourself. I think that sticking with bigger sets early on gives you a little more rest, a little less mentally defeating. But once you start to get into those later rounds, it's about getting as much work done as you can. So if you go too big later on in the workout and you can't do any more pull-ups, you're going to get a worse score than if you kind of gamed it once you get into that round. That becomes that, am I going to get through this round or not kind of deal.
Cool. HD Warnock, thank you for that one. Logie_bear69, very original, very creative.
It's like a Hotmail address
It
from
is.
when you were in high school, 69420.
It's like
XXXX.
you make that address, but you hope that your parents don't see your email address ends in 69. You're like, I hope they don't find out what that means, but they already knew. How do you lose 20 pounds and not lose any strength in 24 hours?
Vomit.
Lots of them.
Sweat Lodge.
Spit into a cup. Chew Big Red. I know all the tricks.
Sherb's done it multiple times.
One of those spot reduction belts. Trash
Okay.
bag. All that works.
Yeah, so just you can send a private message to Sherb if you have questions about that. And Andre_Cardoza asks, I guess this is to me, How do you get facial hair like that? Hashtag peach fuzz.
Yes. Who's that from?
Andre Cardoza.
You're sponsored.
Yeah. Send it to your address. You just want a free T-shirt.
Basically, like, this is probably 6 or 7 weeks of no shaving. So I don't know if it's like a burden or if it's a good thing or what. But I'm gonna let it go. It's my open peach fuzz. My open fuzz. So
It's my open fuzz. I like that. That's good. Hashtag open fuzz.
hashtag open fuzz. I'll check all those.
It's getting loopy.
Anything else, boys? Anything else? Everyone's done this before. If you haven't, well, you're probably not getting to the round of 20 or 22. That's just that's going to be tough. If you've done it before, you have some experience. You've been training these two movements for quite some time. You're comfortable. Listen to what these two have said, and hopefully the advice carries you as far as possible. Anything else?
No, I just feel
Sure.
like if you haven't done this one, don't go into it with the mindset of like, I'm going to test it out Friday and I'm going to redo it Monday, because this is a huge workout. If you rip your hands, that is something in the back of your mind, redoing it.
Yeah.
That's a huge thing on you trying to redo it, trying to get your score
Never
better.
rip your hands.
So this is a workout that you really have to stay mentally tough and things like that, because if you rip your hands in a round of 18 and then you try to do it or something like redo it Monday or anything like that, it's going to be a lot harder to
Let's
grab
talk
that
about
bar.
the hands a little bit. I got it.
Don't-
Well, you got
So I
Maddie.
say, don't rip your
What you got?
hands and then do it again and get one rep worse. That's a worse way to do this.
There's
Oh,
blood
did
pouring
you
down
do
his
that?
arm.
Yeah, I might have done that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the hands a little bit. Two big things that I see. You know, we do a lot of training camps and we do a lot of chest to bar work in the training camps. Either people are holding the bar here in their fingertips, okay, and they can't hold on to the bar at all, barely enough to rip their hands, and somehow they still rip their hands. Okay, we want to try to get that pinky knuckle on top of the bar. You really want to feel like the pressure to externally rotate up there and not have that shoulder impingement is with the hand on the bar here. Second thing that, you know, you might not change. Cody's awesome at chest to bar pull-ups. He moves his hands like he's riding a dirt bike the whole time. But the more you crank on the pull-up bar, the more you're going to rip your hands. I mean, it's plain and simple. A lot of the bars that we have that people really like are the bare steel, and you move your hands on bare steel for hundreds of reps, you're going to rip your hands. Now, once you're done, one of the main reasons CrossFitters rip their hands is because they live in the gym and they live covered in chalk, and chalk just sucks everything out of your hands. You get the crazy dry hands. You know, when Gabe shows me his ripped hands, he looks like a reptile. It's creepy. Like, wash the chalk off your hands. You know, I don't know what you
Reptile
need to
Gabe.
do. I don't really rip my hands because I can't do very many pull-ups, but like lotion, I don't know. But get the chalk off your hands. Take care of your hands. It's gonna help.
It's weird his hands look like that because he does lotion his hands quite
It's
a
weird
bit.
that his left hand always tears apart and his right hand is always silky smooth. I couldn't figure out
There's
what was going on.
something to that.
Freaking Gabe. Okay, one more question, then we'll cut it out for this week. What's Matt Frazier going to get for a score?
I think top in the world.
How do you think his kip's gonna be in his chest to bar
I
pull-ups?
think he can take top in the world in this workout.
Okay.
I think that he's going to stay so strong on those overhead squats that he can do chest bars for days. I think this is a very, very good workout for him.
because it's a CrossFit workout.
I think it's a damn good workout for him.
I think most workouts are good for him.
All right. That's it for this edition, 15.2, and we're out.
Good luck.
Will he mix his grip?